ISD Reporting Services is here in Poland for the Warsaw Climate Change Conference, reporting on selected side events convening in parallel with the Warsaw Climate Talks. On Thursday, November 21st, an event organized by the UNEP CCC Secretariat marked the official opening for business of the Climate Technology Center and Network, a facility focused on accelerating the development and transfer of climate-related technology and expertise to developing countries in order to reduce emissions and improve resilience to impacts of climate change. In his opening remarks, the Executive Director of UNEP, Achim Steiner, stated,
"Here we are able to, I think, stand before you today collectively and say CTCN is happening, it is up and running. We welcome through the nationally designated network submissions, proposals."
Richard Kinley, Deputy Executive Secretary of the UNEP CCC, described where the CTCN stands.
The modalities and procedures of the CTCN are now set. The draft work program for the next 5 years is set. Prioritization criteria for responding to developing country requests are there, and criteria for establishing the network. These are all the essential building blocks for moving forward. I see this as really a historic opportunity to shift from talking about technology transfer to acting on technology transfer.
Franz Perez, Switzerland's Ambassador for Environment, added,
"The establishment of the CTCN and what is happening here and how he has described it, how it is really beginning to gain ground, that's just the proof of the opposite. And I have the pleasure that you say one of the next steps will now be really that developing countries also will make use of that network of institutions that are here to help and to bring the technology to the places where they have to be."
Griffin Thompson, Chair of the CTCN Advisory Board, explained,
"The Climate Technology Center Network is really the good news story of this UNFCCC COP. The parties came together and collectively decided what would be the best way to respond to the developing countries' need for increased technology development and transfer. The Climate Technology Center will open its doors to requests, and the center will look at projects, not paragraphs. We will look at creating watts and generating watts and megawatts, not generating more words."
High-level representatives from developing countries reflected on the operationalization of the CTCN and developments in their countries. Harry Kalaba, Minister of Lands, Natural Resources and Environmental Protection of Zambia, stressed,
"Without technology, no tangible results can be achieved in meeting the objectives of the Convention. Zambia has made tireless efforts in facilitating the implementation of both adaptation and mitigation actions. Several adaptation technologies related to water and agriculture have been identified. We are clearly fully committed to see that appropriate technologies are not only embraced, but made central to all our activities. Some of the major challenges include insufficient finance and the issue of intellectual property rights that continues to hinder effective transfer of appropriate technologies. I wish to end by giving the assurance that Zambia is in the process of establishing a national designated entity, NDE, for the CTCN."
Marianne Lucille Sering from the Philippines highlighted,
"We think the CTCN is a good way to start moving towards addressing climate change, especially mitigation and adaptation, is that it could probably be an answer to a long-standing question on the poverty trap. We know that we need to be able to provide access to technology to our poor, but at the same time they lack the creditworthiness on financing to be able to afford to take on this technology."
Osmani Falsar, Chair of the Senegalese National Committee on Climate Change, welcomed the establishment of the CTCN to support efforts to respond to global challenges, especially for the more vulnerable countries. Daniel Buira, Director General of the Instituto Nacional de Ecología y Cambio Climático, Mexico, spoke about his country's expectations for the CTCN.
We would expect something globally transformational. We would expect something of a truly huge impact. And if we reflect upon what it would mean to have a CTCN that isn't transformational, then it's a missed opportunity, and that's a risk. If the countries get together, establish something for technology transfer, and then that really doesn't achieve much, that would send the wrong signal, I think.
He added,
CTCN will be an opportunity and a tool that we can use. What it will achieve depends very much on the involvement of the different countries and the different members of the consortia. And that's countries in the developing world, but also in the developed world. If it becomes what it could become, then I see it as many things. It could be a kind of broker for projects, a broker of trust for projects. If CTCN supports a project, takes it on and fosters it through to a level of maturity, maybe that will make investors around the world realize that this is a good project, so it can become a badge. It will make people in developing countries feel a lot less isolated. We won't have to reinvent the wheel as much as often happens.
Rezaul Karim from Bangladesh pointed to the need for his country to focus on adaptation to reduce poverty and increase energy, water and food security. Panelists engaged in a series of questions and answers with the participants.
What type of support are you providing?
We expect a range of requests, range from simple information requests such as give me an example of a feed-in tariff, all the way to we want to transform our energy economy, we want to redesign our utility structure, can you bring some support here, and all the way to here's a 50 megawatt wind plant that we would like funding for.
We really hope in the coming work we'll have some good dialogues with you, and also that we can address some of our concerns about the environmental integrity and the environmental safeguards. The technology transfers without these environmental safeguards have led to a lot of problems.
Responding to this comment, CTCN Interim Director Mark Rutka from UNEP underlined.
The criteria approved by the advisory board say that all requests should be environmentally sound. Well, the response to any request, I should say. Any advice, guidance, help, technical assistance related to a technology question should be robust in a broad sense. And that is the wisdom passed down by the advisory board, and we will adhere to that.
Moderator Zituni Uldada from UNEP delivered concluding remarks summarizing the event.
CTCN now is open for business, ready to receive requests from developing countries who need support for their technology needs for mitigation and adaptation. The CTCN is now ready to receive requests. Make sure you nominate your national designated entities and start submitting your requests to the CTCN.